Welcome back, guys. Today it is Spyderco versus Byrd, Dragonfly 2 versus Robin 2. So we have the Spyderco Robin 2 up against the Dragonfly. The Robin 2, this model here is a stainless model, but we're going to be using the weight and whatnot off of the FRN model because stainless versus FRN just isn't fair. To start with, pocket clips. This one has your standard Byrd Spyderco pocket clip. It can be put tip up, tip down, right hand, or left hand. Not so on a Dragonfly. It does have my favorite little waterfall design wire clip, but it can only be tip up, left or right hand. No tip down carry. Not a big deal for me, but maybe for some of you guys. Whenever we get to the measurements and all that, these things are too close to call. There's just not enough difference. However, whenever we move to weight, the differences become huge. This little guy in stainless steel, the Byrd knife, is about 3 ounces, which is kind of heavy for the size knife it is. The Dragonfly, whether it's ZDP 189 or VG10 or H1, they all come in around 1.2 ounces. So way lighter than this one. But you're saying, alright, so there's an FRN version of the Byrd knife. Yeah, there is. But that thing weighs in at right around 2 ounces, so this Dragonfly is still half the weight. So there the Dragonfly wins big time. And no discussion is going to be complete without a talk about blade steel. The Byrd comes with 8CR13 MOV. And that is a completely adequate blade steel for a budget knife. This particular Dragonfly is in ZDP 189. Now, that means that there's a huge price difference between this knife and this knife. However, there's still a pretty big difference between the 8CR13 and the VG10. And you guys know I'm not a huge fan of the VG10, but it is better than the 8CR13. And then we have to consider this. A Dragonfly can be purchased in ZDP 189, VG10, or H1, or lots of different sprint runs that have went through. So this definitely wins in blade steel, and I really wish Spyderco would step it up with the Byrd knives and give us a better steel. Even if it costs $2 or $3 more, it'd be okay to get that better steel, because whenever we look at build quality on these little knives, the Byrd knives have just excellent build quality for the price. And that brings us to just exactly that, build quality and fit and finish. Fit and finish on this Dragonfly, just about as perfect as a little FRN knife is going to be. Fit and finish on the Robin 2, also stellar. However, whenever you open this Robin 2 up and you get it to about right there, it starts to get gritty. And for that reason and that reason alone, the Dragonfly is going to win in that category too. Is it a big deal? No. These are not Spidey Flick open knives, so if you're using your thumb to open it, your index finger to close it, it's going to be just fine. But we're nitpicking here. And since we're nitpicking, we've got to do the visuals. And I know that's a subjective thing, but I'm going to give you my opinion, and down in the comments you give me your opinion. And most of the Byrd knives, I really, really love that comet hole. It just gives the knife a more aggressive, better look. I really, really like it. And same goes here. Really, really like it. However, there's something about this arrowhead appearance that's created by the jimping in the forward finger choil and the thumb ramp here that really touches me. I really like that. And then whenever you add in these swedges up here on the Dragonfly, just puts it over the top for me. So visually, for me, it goes to the Dragonfly. And I know, everything here is going to the Dragonfly, but now we come down to one of the most important parts of the knife, and that's ergonomics. Whenever you put the Dragonfly in your hand, everything works really good. You end up with a full grip on this little bitty knife, and it is freaking fabulous. Doesn't matter which hand you put it in, you get that same full grip. See that little bit of handle sticking out back there? Give Spyderco engineers, some extra pay for that one. Hand them a few extra pennies, Sal, because they deserve it on that. However, whenever we move over to the Robin 2, we pretty much got the same thing. Only, whenever we wrap our index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger, it's even better. And same thing, little bitty knife with less than a 2-inch blade, and you've got a full grip on it. Got that little bit of knife sticking out back there, and you can do just about anything you need to do with this knife. So what's the difference? What makes the Robin 2 feel different? Well, if we look at the back of the handles, up here, pretty much the same. Right here, pretty much the same. Look right here. Got what looks, I don't know, kind of like a flat spot. And then if we move up to here, we continue, and then we have our flat spot. This wider flat spot here on the Byrd Robin 2 allows my index finger to lock in and allows my pinky to lock in as well. So all of my fingers are locked in snugly on this little knife. Whenever we go to the Dragonfly, index finger goes around good. Middle finger kind of loses. There's not as much to get. Ring finger does fine. Pinky finger is kind of lost out there. I mean, it's okay, and it's much better than most knives of this size, but these two fingers kind of get lost, and your pinky and your index finger are kind of holding everything together. And you can see it right there. Look at my knuckles, the way that I've got this thing wrapped pretty tight. And see how my knuckles are nice and look just like they would be if I had a fist up here? Look at them whenever I grab a hold of this thing. I've got one knuckle here, and then I want to go down, and then I got one going up. It just, it isn't as ergonomic. So, the Robin 2 wins in ergonomics. And of course there's price, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Alright guys, so what's your choice between the Dragonfly 2 and the Robin 2? Well, for me, it comes down to blade steel. If my budget allows, I'm going to get the ZDP 189 every time when it comes to one of these, especially the FRN knives. But that's really what it comes down to, is your budget and how often you lose knives. If you're a person that loses knives fairly regularly, Robin 2 for sure. If your budget allows to spend $75 or $80 on a knife this small, then this is the knife for you, the ZDP 189 Dragonfly. And it also comes down to where you live and what you do. If you live in a climate where rust can be a problem and corrosion, if it's occasionally a problem, you may want to get the VG10 version of the Dragonfly. If it's a consistent problem, you may want to get the H1 version of the Dragonfly. Or you may want to get the Spider Edge version of the Dragonfly. That's one of the things with the Dragonfly. There are lots and lots of options. There's a G10 model out there. There's stainless models out there. There's just about everything, and there's a lot of different steels. Well, not a lot. There's 3 different steels as far as I know. There's H1, Spyderco's rust-proof steel. There's VG10, high corrosion resistant steel that's fairly easy to sharpen. And then there's ZDP 189, which is considered kind of a super steel, but it's a very hard steel with pretty high wear resistance that holds an edge for a very long time, but it's not very corrosion resistant. You don't have those options with the Byrd knife. In the Byrd knife, you have 8CR13 MOV, which is a fairly well balanced steel. It's got some corrosion resistance, some edge holding. It's pretty decent, and for the most part, you're going to be happy with it, I believe. And the Byrd knife does come in G10, and it does come in FRN, and it also comes in a bright stainless. So there are some options there as well. However, for me, this size knife and this design of knife is what I like to carry whenever I'm in those situations where I can't put a full-size knife on my pocket. I can't clip a, what have I got today? A Buck Marksman in my pocket, because having that pocket clip sticking out of a pair of slacks or whatever may not be a great idea. This knife gives me full-size knife capabilities in a small size, and it weighs 1.2 ounces. Can't get that with the Byrd knife. The FRN model of the Byrd knife is right around 2 ounces. And, you know, it's not a lot of difference, but it depends on what you're carrying, how much of a difference it is. And in those situations, I will pay a little extra to get the lighter knife. So, like I said, it really comes down to your budget and your use case. For me, the ZDP 189 Dragonfly is a choice, but I was able to come across this Dragonfly at a really great price and got the ZDP 189 version for less than the price of a VG10 version. If I hadn't been able to come across one of these at that price, I might have got the FRN Robin 2. So if we're looking coldly, just as specs and leaving price out of it, leaving your budgetary concerns out of it, one of the Dragonflies is probably the right answer. But we really do have to consider that for such a small knife, unless you're going to carry it every day, this is probably a very, very good answer for almost everybody. At right around 20 bucks, I think the G10 version runs around 30. You're getting one heck of a knife at a very nice price. So, and how you doing, Chloe? Yeah, my wife has a new little, I'm not sure what she is, bull terrier, maybe Staffordshire Terrier. We're not sure, but a new little puppy running around, and unlike the older dog, she doesn't just lay on the couch and stay out of the video. She's got to be here with us. But anyhow, both of them are great knives. It just depends on what you want to spend, what your budget is comfortable with, and the environment you're going to be using them in. And since you guys have watched this long and put up with Chloe, the new puppy, this knife is going to be given away. Really easy to enter. All you got to do is comment below, be 18 years old or older, and live in the United States. Sorry I can't do international, but for shipping purposes, it's going to have to be continental United States. But anyhow, this knife has not been used. It's been in a couple of videos. It has been sharpened because whoever gets it, I want them to have a sharp knife. And I'll leave this open for probably about a week. It'll depend on how my schedule works out. But anyhow, if you want the knife, get in soon. As far as double post, multiple posts, all that stuff, if YouTube spam filter gets you, that's on you. Otherwise, I think you can post on the same video about once every 24 hours. I think is about as much leeway as Google will give you. So try to stick to that. And if I do have somebody that is spamming constantly, I will delete those comments. But just comment, "I'm in." If you can get them in once a day, that's fine. I'll run the randomizer over it here in about a week. Like I said, depends on my schedule. And we'll have a winner for this Byrd Robin 2. And they're going to get a pretty one. This one is kind of hard to get your hands on. You know, I've seen it a few places, but it sells out quickly. I don't know if Spyderco is not importing as many of these as they are the other ones. But anyhow, somebody's going to get a nice knife. And I thank you all for stopping by and hanging out with me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.